Hey, welcome. This may be the first installment of the Steve McIlvain Home Team video blogs, vlogs. I don't know what is actually the technically correct term. We are doing this today because Sarah McIlvain, who writes most of our blogs, I was writing about blog about how to make a solid offer. And when it comes to the technicalities of real estate, I am not the one that you want advising you. I have a lot of opinions, and I'm always happy to share those, but I may not be the most perfect source for the ins and outs of how to do things and how to go about things. So,
You're pretty good, though.
I'm good, but I haven't actually gotten licensed or any of that stuff.
That's true.
The first step in the process, which we talked about in a previous blog, is to meet with a lender and get your financial ducks in a row and be pre-approved. So that taken care of, the next step, once you find the house that you really love, is to make a solid offer, because when you find a house you love, you don't want to lose it if you can help it. It may happen, and you deal with that. But what we wanted to talk about today is what can you do to make a solid offer that will stand out and hopefully win you the house. So Steve didn't really have time to write it all out for me, so we decided to record it. So over to you.
I will say that there's a lot of ways where I've been able to help my clients stand out during the offer process, but I'll summarize it with 4 points. The first one is know what the right price is to offer for the home. The second one is make it personal. The third one is consider waiving contingencies. And the fourth is make sure that offer is truly complete. Make sure the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed.
Not I's crossed.
Right, not I's crossed. So want to talk about those?
Yes.
All right, well, knowing the right price to offer, that comes down to the agent doing their due diligence with knowing what is going on in the market. There's some terms out there called absorption rate. There's other things that are out there. But really what it comes down to is the following. What is going on? What's the trend? What's the trend in the neighborhood? What's the trend in the community? What's the trend in the city? What's the trend in the county? I will say that I probably spend about 45 minutes minimum on pricing, and sometimes up to 2 hours where it's even more complicated. And a reason for that is we need to make sure that my goal is to get the buyer the lowest possible price and have the seller fix the most amount during the time that they're under contract. So the first thing is pricing the home right. I would say that the second thing is make it personal. Now, it's hard to do that when you think of real estate. Real estate is an incredibly impersonal business. You've got the buyer represented by the buyer's agent. You got the seller represented by the seller's agent. The seller's goal is to get the highest price and fix absolutely nothing during the home inspection. And the buyer wants to get the lowest price and have the seller fix the most amount of things during the home inspection process. Well, as long as you're not violating fair housing laws, by telling a little story that can be submitted with the offer on why you love the home, what it's going to do for you and your family, or do for you, just you, it can be very, it can sway the seller.
And you've had situations where that has been the case, where your clients have
times.
written the Dear Seller letters, and that has endeared them in the process of kind of standing out as the offer to consider.
Mm-hmm.
Because people, if they love their house, they want to pass it on to somebody else who's going to love it.
Yep.
So,
I would say after that, number 3 is consider waiving contingencies. Contingencies is a fancy word for parts of the offer that, like home inspection, appraisal, financing. Those are the big ones.
and we'll talk more about those in a future blog.
Okay. So a lot of times people think it's just about price. Maybe it's not about price. Maybe it is actually, there's a term that's important. Maybe having that home inspection waived and have it done for informational purposes where the buyer can still get the home inspection done, but they're not going to negotiate down to the nitty-gritty on repairs will matter to the seller. Maybe knowing when the seller needs to move, knowing what the motivation is for the seller matters. I always call the listing agent before I'm ready to submit an offer to find out what that seller's motivation is. They don't always give it to me, but when they do, it can be extremely beneficial. And then lastly, I would say making sure that that offer is complete. I've been on both sides, Sarah, of the transaction as a listing agent and as a buying agent. And I'm amazed at when I receive an offer that if an addendum is missing or if there is a lot of misspellings or areas that are not filled in, that doesn't give me a lot of confidence working with that agent going forward. And so sometimes I've made recommendations to my seller to actually not accept an offer because I think we would have some problems down the road. And so that way, and so let's flip the script a little bit. So when I'm representing a buyer, I'm making sure that that offer is tight, that it's read over multiple times, that it is consistent from contract to contract, that the due diligence that's done will make sure that we're submitting a complete offer. We'll have the full earnest money deposit with the offer. We'll have the pre-approval. We'll have the contingencies. We'll have everything laid out and submitted in a nice, tight, and easy package. Make it easy for the seller to accept.
Because most sellers want to have as smooth of a process as possible, as buyers do. And one of the ways to kind of show that that will hopefully be the case is to be as professional and complete as possible from the start. So, yeah.
So to summarize, you want to make sure that the price that's offered is the right one. Know what the seller's motivation is, and that might involve waiving some contingencies. Being personal
And
when possible and likable, and then making sure that that offer is extremely complete.
Okay.
I guess this went okay. Maybe we'll do this again. I think Sarah's going to make me do this again, but I don't like being on video, but it went all right. Nice job.
All right. Thanks.